Hi, I'm Michael Krusch. I'm the founder and owner of Tegeler Audio Manufaktur here in Berlin, and we produce professional audio gear. We build gear that we would use in our studio, and our philosophy is to build gear that actually alters the audio, that changes the sound and make it sound better. So we not try to build gear that is mostly transparent, but always adds some color to the audio signal. That began in my teenage years. I grew up in East Germany, behind the wall, and it wasn't possible to just go to a shop and buy a synthesizer or a drum machine. And since I was into electronic music, I didn't want to play guitar or piano. I wanted to create electronic sounds. And the only way there to have a synthesizer was to build it on your own. So there were books about it, and I had to go to electronic shops, buy components, and at the end had to come up with my own synthesizer. The first synthesizer I bought was a Kawai K1. But I was also able to work in a studio, and then I had access to a Korg M1 and other stuff. So yeah, I think the first drum computer, I was using the drums from an old Roland U20, which was a sample player back then. Actually, everything that was on the market in the early 2000s, and also all that old gear. And one melting pot during the time was a forum called Group DIY, where many people came to exchange ideas, and also it was the beginning of the internet, and you could find old schematics, and it was interesting to look at it, how the old gear was built, and also to try it out, because of course not all the old components are still around, and then listening to different transformers in the studio. Okay, this component sounds like this sounds like this, and yeah, I was mainly sitting the whole evening listening in the studio to different components, hearing the same phrase over and over again, and it also takes some time to hear the subtle differences, and I think that was kind of the starting point, and also the fun of building electronic again. In the last few years, it was more collaborative, but the main gear was that it was my idea. I wanted that, and then I did it that way. But the last few units, it was more input. Okay, that's my cat.
That's Cat's allowed. We're going to get that cat on camera. Definitely.
Yes. When I came up, I was really naive and thought, okay, I'm just building gear and people will like it and buy it. And then talking to distributors about selling it, and then I got the answer, yeah, I already have a huge list of other manufacturers. Why should I take you into my portfolio? And then I thought, yeah, maybe. And we started to sell directly, and because distributors and dealers were not so interested. What we like is to have a direct contact to the customers, to talk to them, to also have feedback from them. It also is a way to improve the gear, because then we can directly get feedback. Someone says, oh, I need to have probably that jack in the back. And then also to see, no one is using this feature, but some people ask for this feature, maybe we can change that. And it's better to have a direct contact to the customers than to have a distributor and a dealer in between. So I think one of the benefits, beside the sound of the gear, of course, is that we are approachable, that we give direct support, and yeah, I think that's it's also nice to have a direct connection to us. One of our aspects is that we have remote-controlled gear where the knobs actually rotate, so they are servo-controlled knobs. Because I like the idea to see exactly the settings at the device, not using LEDs or the like, but having really rotating knobs, so it feels like as you really control it directly from the device. The most popular thing is the Creme, the mix bus and compressor and equalizer, and yeah, that's over time our best-selling gear. And that was also a spontaneous idea I was reading about engineers using EQ and compressor on the mix bus while mixing, and then I thought it would be nice to have a gear like that to mix against that, because it also helps to that phenomena that you raise every fader a little bit higher, and at the end it's just louder. So, and the compressor helps you to avoid that. That was quite. That's our bestseller overall. And one thing, of course, we sell a lot is the recording channel, because when you make music and record the voice, then at least the voice has to be high quality, and the rest is okay. But the voice needs to be top notch, and so over the whole history, we sold the VariTube recording channel the most. We have a few in parallel, because developing something new always takes time. So that's why we do it parallel, because you need to order a new board, and it takes a while. Then you need to this and try that, ask someone to listen to it, and so yeah. And also hopefully the whole situation with the components gets a little bit more easy, because for example with the remote controlled gear we had to stop development because the processors weren't available, also a shortage of the AD/DA converters, and so it didn't make sense to construct something new, because yeah, where we cannot build it, why develop it? I'm not dogmatic in that. If it sounds good then and serves a purpose, then it doesn't matter if it's digital or analog. I like analog because it's so easy to have a good sound. So run it through a tube equalizer and it comes out and sounds great, and I don't need to fiddle around with a lot of plugins to achieve that sound. There are also many ideas that only work in a digital world. For example, with the Schwerkraftmaschine, which is a combination of a analog tube compressor and a digital sidechain, we have both of best worlds. So we can emulate different behaviors and still have that analog sound. I was even programming plugins before Tegeler Audio, just for myself, and my main thing was a reverb. So it was in the 2000s when there are not so many quality reverbs around, and I built one convolution reverb for myself, for my own studio mainly, and so it has quite a history. At some point I wanted to build that into a hardware device, so we came up with the Raumzeitmaschine. And during Corona and the supply shortage, we thought, oh, maybe we can put the algorithm into a plugin and see if that works for our customers. So mainly the Raumaschine plugin is the reverb algorithm from the hardware Raumzeitmaschine, but minus the tubes and the transformers. Yeah, we will definitely try and see how it works out. It's the same with the reverb algorithm. That was also, I mean, many people tried to come up with an algorithm, and it's a little bit luck then when you try around and something good sounding comes out of it, because there are so many parameters and you can get lost, and at the end it sounds not so good. So it was a little bit luck to come up with something that works great, and let's see how that works with emulating analog gear. Yeah, we collecting ideas we have, and we try to not reproduce something that already exists, but to bring in new ideas into new plugins. Yeah, we offer 14 days trial in your own studio. So you can just register on our website, and then we will send you the gear and you can try it. And if you, after 14 days, if you like it, which happens really often, you just pay the invoice, or if you don't like it and want to send it back, just do so, and then that's it. So it's really easy to check it out and hassle-free.